No one expected this voice from a poor waitress girl in torn clothes. The diner smelled of burnt coffee and fried eggs. It was a small roadside place on the edge of town, the kind where tired truck drivers and strangers stopped for a quick bite before moving on. Among the clatter of plates and the hiss of the griddle moved a thin young girl in faded jeans and a worn-out apron. Her name was Emily. At first glance, Emily looked like life had been unfair to her. Her clothes were torn in places, her sneakers frayed. She tied her dark hair into a messy ponytail and kept her head down while taking orders. Few people knew her story, and even fewer cared. To the customers, she was just the poor waitress girl. But behind her tired eyes was a secret, something she never dared to share. Emily had grown up with music in her soul. As a child, her mother used to hum lullabies that made their broken-down apartment feel warm, even in the coldest winters. Her father had left long ago, and her mother's voice became her only comfort. When her mother passed away, Emily was just 16. With no family left and bills piling up, she had to drop out of school and take this job at the diner. But every night, when the world was asleep, Emily sang to herself in the dark, her voice carrying the ache of her loneliness and the hope she refused to let die. One Thursday evening, the diner was unusually crowded. A music festival was happening in the city, and several festival-goers stopped by on their way. Among them was a man in a clean suit who sat at the corner booth. His name was Michael Grant, a renowned music producer visiting town to scout for fresh talent. Nobody knew who he was, not even Emily. Emily walked to his table nervously, balancing a tray of coffee cups. Her hands trembled slightly. Her shift had been long, and exhaustion was written all over her face. "Coffee, sir?" she asked politely, her voice soft but carrying a strange warmth that made Michael look up. He noticed the tired lines on her face, the ragged apron, but also the quiet dignity in her eyes. "Thanks," he replied, offering a small smile. Then, as Emily turned to leave, something unexpected happened. From the jukebox in the corner, a familiar melody played, an old classic, one her mother used to sing. Emily froze for a moment, her heart pounding. Without realizing it, she whispered the lyrics under her breath. But the diner was hushed, and her voice, gentle, soulful, trembling yet powerful, slipped into the air. Michael's eyes widened. It wasn't just him, a few customers turned their heads too. Her voice was unlike anything they had heard, rich with pain, yet overflowing with hope. Embarrassed, Emily stopped immediately. I'm sorry," she stammered, cheeks burning. But from a nearby table, an elderly woman spoke up. "Don't stop, dear. Please, sing." Emily hesitated, her eyes darting to her boss behind the counter. The diner owner, usually stern, gave a rare nod. "Go on, Emily. Just this once." Something inside her shifted. Emily put the tray down, stood in the middle of the diner, and began to sing, not timidly this time, but with her whole heart. The chatter ceased, forks paused midair, and every eye turned toward the waitress girl in torn clothes. Her voice soared higher, carrying raw emotion that made the air feel heavy, as if every soul in the diner was connected by her song. By the time she finished, tears glistened in more than one pair of eyes. Even hardened truck drivers wiped their faces discreetly. For Emily, it was as if her mother was there again, smiling and proud. Michael was stunned. He had spent his life searching for voices that could move people, but this? This was beyond talent. It was a voice born from struggle, loneliness, and resilience. He stood up, walked over, and placed a business card gently into Emily's shaking hand. "You have something rare," he said quietly. "If you're willing, I'd like the world to hear it." Emily blinked, unsure if this was real. The card in her hand read, "Michael Grant, music producer." Around her, the customers began clapping, cheering for the girl they had overlooked just minutes ago. The next weeks were a whirlwind. Michael arranged for Emily to record her first song. At first, she doubted herself. Who would listen to a poor girl with nothing but a dream? But when her voice was released into the world, it was as if millions had been waiting for it all along. The song went viral. People across the country wrote messages about how her voice gave them strength, how it reminded them of their own struggles and hopes. Emily wasn't just singing anymore, she was healing hearts, including her own. Opportunities poured in, interviews, performances, contracts. But she never forgot the diner, the people who first encouraged her to sing, and the kindness of a stranger who believed in her when she didn't believe in herself. Months later, Emily stood on a grand stage in New York, dressed not in torn clothes but in a simple gown her fans had gifted her. The crowd was massive, lights blinding, but her heart was calm. Before singing, she took a deep breath and said, "This song is for anyone who's ever felt invisible, forgotten, or too broken to dream. I was a waitress in a diner not long ago. Tonight, I'm here because kindness and hope are stronger than despair." The music began, and as her voice filled the stadium, it carried more than melody, it carried proof that no one is truly defined by poverty, by torn clothes, or by the hardships life throws. What defines us is the courage to share our gifts, the kindness of those who lift us, and the belief that even the smallest spark can light up the darkest night. When the final note rang out, the audience erupted in thunderous applause, many in tears. Emily bowed, her eyes shining. Somewhere deep inside, she felt her mother's presence once again, whispering, "You did it, my girl." And so, the poor waitress in torn clothes became a beacon of hope for millions, proving to the world that extraordinary light often shines from the humblest places.